Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well right now, and welcome to our final company report on Chester. Our executive team is made up of Natalie Baker, myself, which is Austin Ozzy DeVicos, and Tana Nunes. Before we go through slide by slide, I want to note that if you actually download the PowerPoint presentation, we've included all our material in the notes section, which goes through each slide. That's our annotated inclusion. And also, before I begin, I want to mention one thing. Overall, this simulation was extremely challenging. The intent of the simulation was to replicate a real-world competitive business environment going through sales, finance, production, marketing, and research and development. And it's important to note that we did make a lot of mistakes along the way, and we didn't get where we wanted to. However, we learned for future business decisions. And as we're presenting our future recommendations to you guys, which is the board, along the way, we're going to be reviewing our initial strategy, our revised strategy, round by round decisions, including what worked and what didn't work, and then where we ended up in the end. So we hope you guys enjoy the rest of the presentation, and let's get this thing started. At the beginning of the capstone simulation, our executive team had to devise and choose an initial strategy. So how do we go on and move forward in this process? We actually read through the 6 basic strategies outlined in the Capstone Team Member Guide, and we decided on the niche cost leader strategy, where we would be focusing on the traditional and low-end segments. The reason why we chose this was because in the first 2 practice rounds, we actually experienced success financially because we used some of this strategy and we wanted to continue using it and building off it moving forward. So the objective of the niche cost leader strategy was to achieve a competitive advantage by minimizing material costs, research and development, and production. And then furthermore, we wanted to provide reliable products for low technology customers. And exactly how would we be planning on doing that? Offering value to our bondholders, stockholders, customers, and management. As a part of our initial strategy, one of the expectations earlier this semester was to outline specific goals that we wanted to achieve by the end of the 5th year and exactly how to get there. So our first goal had to do with research and development, and it was gradually shifting our high-end products into the traditional and low-end segments of the perpetual map. The second goal was to create a new sensor that would be introduced into the traditional market, which aligned with our low-cost niche leader strategy. The third was production schedule for high-end products would be ceased until we saw a significant shift. The fourth was financials will be in a stable position by 2025, and that was imperative for us. And the fifth was owning 25% of the market share. Moving forward in the future slides, we will discuss whether we achieve these goals, how we plan on achieving these goals, and what ended up happening in the end. Now that we've talked about and reviewed our initial strategy, why we chose the initial strategy, and our 5-year goals, we're going to talk about our round 1 analysis, which was in 2021. Each round, we would be highlighting the key decisions and the results/lessons learned. It is imperative to explain our thought process for these key decisions, the findings, and how we improved moving forward year after year. So as you can see, we're going to go through the decisions first. And pre-round 1, we wanted to invest heavily into Cake and Cedar, which were our traditional and low-end segments. For Cake, marketing efforts included $6,500 for promo budgeting, $2,000 for sales budgeting, and $2,200 for forecasting. This ended up increasing awareness from 55% to 76% and accessibility from 54% to 66%. The process was similar for Cedar, and the reason why we did this for these 2 products was to invest into marketing early, so customers had full visibility of our low-end and traditional products, which aligned well with our initial strategy. You can't just say, hey, you're going to do this initial strategy without consistently talking about it and consistently doing it. So that was our plan. Each decision that we made aligned with our initial strategy, as I just said. And then in terms of the initial plan investments, we invested a lot for Cake and Cedar, specifically for Cake, $8,400 and Cedar, $18,000, which was astronomical. So what ended up happening at the end of round 1 and some of the lessons that we learned. Cake and Cedar were the top products for the respective segments, which is awesome. We were very happy about that. But overall, we were not happy with the first round results. We had a rude awakening from the practice rounds which we did well in, and we learned the hard way. We ended up having an emergency loan of $27,000, and then we were not profitable because our highest plant net improvements and inventory costs, and this led to excess supply, meaning we didn't make adequate decisions with our inventory control. So moving forward, it was tough in the first round that we had an emergency loan. We had to learn the hard way, but we were optimistic. And if you want to reference the chart on the right, you can see how much our inventory cost us as Chester, as well as the net plant improvements, which was substantially higher than Andrews and Baldwin, which you guys are board members of and the executives of those teams. So moving forward from the first round to the second round, let's see what we've got.
All right, thank you, Ozzy, for that analysis of round one. This is Natalie talking now, and I'll get into our round two analysis, which includes our decisions and then the results and the lessons we learned from round two. So starting off, we learned a lot from round one, obviously, in that we made mistakes with our capacity and our financing that resulted in an emergency loan. This was kind of discouraging, obviously, but we kept an optimistic state of mind, and we articulated our second round decisions, which included concentrating on moving the high-end sensors into the traditional and low-end segment. We stuck with our initial strategy to that cost or the niche cost leader strategy, which is to dominate the low end and traditional segments. And in order to do this, we continued to move our sensors into those segments, and we ensured that all revision dates were within the same year. That was important to us just because we quickly needed to make money in order to pay back this loan. And in order to assist with that, we also adjusted the pricing of our products. So we lowered the price of Cake and Cedar and SID, and we increased the price of Coat and Cure. We did that based off competitors and the needs and wants of that segment. And so after that round was finalized, the results and lessons learned, we learned a lot. So our financials improved drastically. We were better with our money this time, and we eliminated that emergency loan, we were super proud of ourselves for that, obviously, because that was super discouraging. Another positive was that our inventory from cash flow difference was $39,000 roughly, and our net plant improvements had a difference of $17,000. So those numbers were very positive for us in our ability to correctly forecast and invest in that net plant improvements. Another positive was that Cake and Cedar were the top two products in their respective segments. So we had created some products that customers were buying, and we were competitive with the top products. So moving forward after this round, we were very optimistic and happy after rebounding from that emergency loan that kind of discouraged us in the first round. So following this slide, I will get into round three analysis. All right, so following the first three rounds, we hit a point where we needed to come up with a revised strategy in order to successfully complete the following rounds. So our revised strategy was more of us just focusing on areas of improvement. We decided to stay committed to our niche cost leader strategy because we felt completely throwing out this strategy would be too much of a risk for us because we were already in such a poor financial position. So our revised strategy just included us focusing on three big areas to improve on, which was forecasting, inventory in our production schedule, and financing. We decided to focus on these three areas just because we had made poor decisions, which led to leftover capacity, high employee turnover, and negative cash flow. And so from this revised strategy, we came up with our revised goals, which I will talk about in the following slide. So after coming up with our revised strategy and focusing on those 3 areas that we needed to improve on, we came up with 3 goals, which we wanted to achieve by the end of the simulation. Our first goal was to be profitable. In the first 3 rounds, we had only been profitable once and been issued 2 emergency loans. So this means we were not making the appropriate price adjustments, and we needed to be more consistent with our production schedule moving forward. Our second goal was with Cedar and Cake, because these were 2 products that we were pretty successful in. So we wanted Cedar and Cake to be the top products sold in their segments. And in doing so, this would just be a testament to staying true to our initial strategy, which was the niche strategy. And so in our third goal was to finish in the top 3 financially. We understood that we have made multiple mistakes in the process that have ruined our financial standings. However, we stayed optimistic and competitive and wanted to finish in the top 3 and especially be competitive with the 2 other companies in this board and try and finish above the computers. So following this slide, Tanya will get into round 4 and the following rounds, and then we'll wrap up with a recap moving forward.
For round 4, we saw that our turnover rate was at. Okay, so then for round number 5, again, okay, so then for round 6, we spent 2,372. Then for round 7, we did not invest into.
This is the second last slide of our presentation, and what I'm going to be talking about right now is the recap and recommendations moving forward. So in terms of a recap of everything, we talked about our initial strategy, our initial goals, the revised strategy, the revised goals, and a breakdown of each round. And within each round, we talked about the why behind each successful and failed business decision making. And we articulated that very clearly. Now, in terms of our executive overall thoughts from the 3 of us, we set expectations for ourselves, and we did not meet those expectations. We ended up having the worst financial standing among all of our competitors. However, it was a good learning experience, and I want to harp on this a little bit more. What we were able to do was use our knowledge gained throughout this course and apply it to the CAPSIM. And with that being said, we talked about including business risk, strategic analysis, and taking the criticism from Dr. Vail, using those debriefs and using it and applying it to actual making our decision making a lot better. And lastly, we worked as a team. We developed our teamwork skills, leadership skills, and managerial judgment, although it wasn't the best always. So aside from our learning experience, which were positive, some of the key takeaways from the CAPSIM simulation in general was 2 things. Our inability and our lack of forecasting and capitalizing on the traditional and low-end segment, which was our overall goal. And the second was we needed to have better financial decisions. Our stock price was $1, whereas a lot of the other competition capitalized on the public market, which increased the value of their company and made them more money, which we failed to do. So moving forward to the board, to you guys, we provided a recap of our past 7 years into operations. Dr. Vail recommended maybe using a fast strategy approach to get out of things and to improve financials. And the last thing we would want to help from you guys is external financial advice. We need somebody in the field of expertise, and we need to do extensive research on how to improve our stock price from $1 and capitalize on the public market. So this is just a recap and our recommendations for moving forward. Overall, our executive team at Chester just wants to say thank you. Hope we provided clarity for the board and our future recommendations. We want to continue experiencing success with Chester in the near future and in the long term, and we think we can do so with the help from you guys. Thank you guys for listening to our presentation today.